SG Reads.
Hello fellow travelers, my name's SG and welcome to the channel. Today we'll be looking at Paddington's Fnaf tapes. As promised, I'm going to be doing a full week of Five Nights at Freddy's material. As you voted in the community tab, you said that you would prefer analog horror. So for today, Saturday, we'll be looking at different analog series along the way. On Sunday, we'll be looking at the games, a quick retrospective of the games, along with a theory to go with it. And then finally, next Thursday, we're going to be doing a quick look at the graphic novels. The ones based on the regular novels and a Fazbear Frights. I hope you guys enjoy these videos. I hope you enjoy them. I won't be doing a FNAF on Tuesday. I'm restricting those for kind of my poetry / short story read days. If you have anything you want me to look at, please put it down in the description or in the comment section. I really appreciate it. Also, if there's anything FNAF related, such as an analog horror or ARG you want me to look at, again, leave in the comment section. I'm looking for stuff to watch and review and or theorize or analyze, anything along those lines. And and before we start, as usual, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. It really helped me out. And let's take a look at this analog series, shall we? Video 1's a relatively simple one. We are trapped in what looks to be the parts and services department, where we are confronted with Freddy and Foxy, and Freddy asking us constant questions. Second video, Fazbear Entertainment Video Manual, consists of us being the maintenance people for the suits and telling us that we can remove the animatronic's outer shell and see what's inside, but that we must accept our fate at the very end. Bonnie Joint Movement is us learning how to control Bonnie's movements, from his eyes, to his arms, to his legs, and we're given a shocking end where we close our eyes and it appears that Bonnie jump scares us. Sound response check, we open with Chica talking to a young girl and seemingly capturing her before we go to a response section of maintenance, where they say that if Chica responds correctly to the sound waves, then she is operating regularly. If not, then keep away from children. It could be very dangerous. Give Life is our first look at the puppet in the series, and showing that she opens the box, and we get a jump scare from what looks like Golden Freddy. Pirate Cove pre-show is the first indication of the incidents happening. We do see a small group of children, and Foxy kind of giving his whole show to them, only to realize that they are spirits themselves, and are accompanied by a man. Then we are also given shocking images of a realistic or horror version of the Fazbear gang. There Are No Strings is again a puppet one where she is looking out at the crowd of people, watching them pass by as she is hiding in the box. Non-existent video seems to be the most lore drop we've gotten for the series, where it does show the spring lock suits and how they operate and how they can pretty much clinch you in. We also get a small glimpse of the Golden Freddy along with the child that may be inside the suit. And we also have a conversation revealing certain things that are very big to the main overall story. Things I will talk about in a little bit. As you know, I do the narrator and or creator videos in the next section, so we'll skip that part for now because it does say a lot. Now we go on to Late One Night at Fazbear Frights, which shows that the FNAF 3 location is still happening, that this is a realistic version of what Fazbear Frights would look like. And then not only that, we get this idea that Springtrap is there, just like in the original game, but showing him in a more realistic sense, showing that they know the dangers beyond that they know he's dangerous. Something must have happened, or something probably is going to happen. For now, let's move on, shall we? Motion detection in Cam 4, where we do get this idea of a cam location, but we also get this inch that this is a separate place considering from the past videos. We do get a toy Bonnie image here, where for one, he talks to us, is able to make intelligent conversation with us. We do get this idea that there is something bigger going on, and he even gives us a cryptic message in an odd way, where there is something chasing us. Well, maybe not us, the viewer, but something's chasing them, saying that he's in the shadows, he knows how to hide, or something along those lines. The case of Edward Morris is a more first-person experience of what it's like to be the child stuck in a late-night version of what's happening here. We do get withered animatronics. We do get the Bonnie just trying to help. There is this moment where we are captured by the spring trap. And this pretty much is just showing the reality of what's happening, what these children are experiencing when captured by the spring trap. The horror attraction is probably the most detailed, most interesting version of this, where it feels like a full-length movie and actually goes in depth with what could have been Fazbear Frights. In the original game, we were only given this small idea of what it could be. Unlike the originals, where they don't have to rely on that, we do get more of that experience through this video. In fact, if it were based on this video, I would have liked to see more into the Fazbear Frights scenario, and kind of gives the idea of where we would have gone. I'm going to connect that later to another video, but for now, let's move on, shall we? And finally, the latest 1 month ago video, Lucid Figments, suggests that there is something going on. Lucid means that we are aware of a nightmare scenario or seeing a nightmare while awake. In a weird sense, we are seeing things that don't make sense. It seems like a trippy dream in a way, and it is in a way too. Or literally. So for right now, while we diagnose it later, that's pretty much up to date with the Fnaf tapes by Baddington. He is continuing the series, I hope, and I do want to see more come along the way. If you want to see the original videos, the playlist will be down below, along with the first video in the link in the comment section, and of course in the description. Please go support the original creator. Now, let's get on with the rest of the video, shall we? Now, in this part we usually talk about the narrator. Well, in this one I'm going to talk about the narrator actually being two people. Well, in this case I would say that it's more of the collector and the viewer. We are not the ones watching this in a normal sense. We are a character ourselves viewing these tapes. And as said before with the non-existent video, we know that we are Michael Afton, the main protagonist of the main Five Nights at Freddy's series. I know this because the puppet, who is talking in this, has given many signs that they're talking to this, is trying to tell Michael that Springtrap is still alive. He's trying to help us, in a way offering him redemption for things he may have done in the past. We don't know exactly what this version of the FNAF universe Michael did, but we do know that it was bad enough that it's haunted him for all this time. Now, the puppet, or marionette, depending on your terminology for the character, has shown that they are collecting these tapes. Each tape is from the eyes, security cameras, and from pretty much visitors who have left their cameras there. We do know they're from the eyes of the original animatronics. We get that idea over again because of the way that it cuts out, the way the animatronics look at each other. We can tell that these are the kind of interactions between one another. This is to give us an idea of what the animatronics are going through themselves, how they're tortured or they're in pain and need help. Whether this is for Michael to know or the puppet is unknown, but the puppet is showing Michael, and Michael, for the rest of the series, is the one viewing these tapes, looking for his father, William Afton. So that would be our both narrator, viewer, and collector. Now, when talking about chronological order, it is and it isn't in chronological order, I guess you could say. Because if we looked at it, it would make sense in the sound that Chica's sound response check would probably be first, because it does show the animatronics moving around and working under somebody. Because we do see Chica grab somebody and take her somewhere. But then we get Give Life, which would happen to be the next in the series, mainly because it's the puppet giving these animatronics life, based on the sort of Golden Freddy jumping out at you. I would suggest that's maybe an animatronic jumping into a child, or maybe a child jumping into an animatronic, like their souls leaping into it. We then go into parts and services, where we can pretty much guess that we are playing as Bonnie, mainly because Freddy's not attacking us, neither is Foxy. In fact, they're asking, why are we hiding? What is wrong? Suggesting that they have been activated already, or their souls have been taken over already, and asking us, why are we afraid of them? We shouldn't be afraid of them. We get the idea that Fazbear Entertainment manual probably goes next, along with the Bonnie joint movement. We do get that maybe last, But the one I would have to say that comes right after probably parts and services would be the Pirate Cove pre-show, suggesting that Foxy himself is probably the last one to receive a soul, considering that he was able to see all of it go down. And it is a great replica of the original minigame that we see. And then we go into non-existent video, which kind of shows this transition from Fnaf 1 to Fnaf 2, giving Michael, who was the security guard in both games, the idea that he's on the hunt for Springtrap, or his father in a sense. We then go to motion detection in Cam 4. Because of the Toy Bonnie appearance, we can suggest that this is based on Fnaf 2, going in a chronological order, and that location itself was closed because of the case of Edward Morris, leading into a horror attraction being made thanks to a fire, presumably started by Michael himself, where there is this attraction called Fazbear Frights that has been kind of going off the rails. Now we do know that the two tourists, or the two riders of the attraction, were attacked and reportedly gone missing, and they probably know that it was Springtrap, hence why in late one night at Fazbear Frights we do see that Springtrap is under lock and key, suggesting that they saw him attack these people, probably through their camera when they were asked to do a test run of the roller coaster, because I'm going with the idea that they were test driving this attraction itself, and they saw being attacked by the Springtrap. It locked him up and put him in a location. Now the last one, Lucid Figments, has to be the last one because it does not have a place yet. It is newer, and obviously takes place in FNAF 4. We can get that because of the sounds of kind of like a heart monitor, I guess you could say, and the idea of lucid dreams, suggesting that this is the crying child, or Michael's brother, having this weird out-of-body experiencing nightmares, if you will, of everything that's happening around him, of the animatronics, of the events, seeing Freddy being in a ball pit and giving him a terrifying nightmare. So that would be my best guess. That's where that part lies. Now, whether that be more towards the beginning of the series is yet to be determined. But for now, that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. Now, I know you're asking, why would the puppet show this to Michael? What's the point? Other than finding his father, I mean. And that's to show that all the suffering his father has caused. The animatronics, the kids, even people, regular everyday people, just doing their job, are suffering because of the actions of his father. We do know that in the first half is all about the animatronics, what they're going through, what they're seeing, and how they're experiencing it. And they're not experiencing it very well. We can see that there is pain in their eyes. There is some sort of heartache to it. They want to leave this location, but they can't. That's probably why Foxy runs the doors. He knows that he wants to get out, but he can't. And we get this idea that during the exoskeleton one, that we do know that when a child awakens to this horror, they can't speak. They can only sing happy birthday. And that in itself is horrifying, isn't it? Being self-aware but being unable to move. We get the idea in the Chica one where the spirit is talking to us, specifically saying that it's hard, it's scary, and that it's like moving in snow, unable to move, wishing you could fall asleep. It's very shocking, very terrifying. It makes you understand that this is a terrible situation. It's gone beyond that of a video game or us just watching tapes. And they're playing with the idea of Michael watching this and sort of feeling the dread in him. As the puppet said, you're not a terrible person, you're not someone bad, you're good. That means that he feels some sort of responsibility for all this. Why? We haven't figured that out yet. But is that really what the puppet's doing? Is he just offering a redemption to Michael? Which leads us to our next conversation about the whole thing. Now, it would be easy to go off of the original game series and say that the puppet just wants to be free. It wants to free all these other creatures too. But we don't know that for a fact. The whole conversation between him and Michael already gives us that weird, uneasy feeling. Like, he feels like the puppet's gaslighting Michael. Like it's trying to convince Michael that the puppet is always right about the situation. Just follow what you gotta do and we'll get there to the end goal, our happy ending. it doesn't feel right and doesn't feel genuine. Like, he wants him to go find Michael or William in an attempt to free them, but that doesn't feel right. It feels like he wants them to burn everything in the path, which would be natural to dismantle the suits. But if you pay attention, we didn't get that minigame in this one, did we? Where the suits are dismantled or taken apart, other than in parts and maintenance. This isn't showing us that, suggesting that the animatronics, the exoskeletons, and everything are still kind of intact. The spirits haven't been freed, and we kind of see that in the Fazbear Frights attraction, in the horror attraction video, showing that Freddy is still trying to escape, that they still have the exoskeleton and he's trying to get out, but something's keeping him there, in a way, and we can kind of see that it's William Afton. We can see that he really isn't thrown off by being an attraction in the horror series. In fact, he seems to kind of revel in it, if you will, that he enjoys it, likes it, so much so that they had to put him behind bars. They had to lock him away. Another thing we get is that Golden Freddy, while he was an active part in the first games, in this we can feel that he is restricted, like he is trapped, that we are seeing him kind of being able not to move. I mean, we've seen that before in the regular game series, but in this it feels more malicious. It feels like something's holding him back. And if we look, it looks like strings holding him back, if you will. An odd idea it is, but this is also the first time we hear that the puppet is influencing Michael to fix these cases. So does that mean that this is just the puppet trying to get revenge on William by bringing him back, or ultimately scrapping his body in the end of the day? It's hard to say, but that definitely feels more of where we're going with the story, where the puppet's not trying to help anybody like in the original canon. He's more of just trying to get revenge. We do get this idea that the puppet isn't exactly Henry's daughter in this one. It feels like it's Afton's wife, that he is the mom to, I guess you could say, Michael, because the ending sentence says, "I love you, Michael." That doesn't make sense if it were just another kid. So, is this really a war of the Aftons happening? I don't know. But for now, we leave it with that. So the story so far, if I had to put it in words, is that one day Michael receives a videotape. And it is of the maintenance issues of the Five Nights at Freddy's characters. Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, Foxy, and all them. And that he's seeing what has not been released. He's seen the background things, the suffering of the animatronics. He goes looking for the original location where these tapes come from, and finds them as a security guard. And there he's confronted with the marionette. He's confronted with the idea that this marionette knows more about him and William Afton than anybody else. He doesn't know why, but he kind of gets this sense that there is this being inside him, a spirit. And he knows right away it's his mom. That it is trying to point him in a direction that will find them peace. Not just the marionette or the puppet, but all the animatronics. He's seen the suffering, so he continues on. He goes to another location, supposedly where the last incident of the Springtrap has happened. That being where Bonnie is. Bonnie stuck there, pretty much being the only animatronic left, other than the withered ones, left to monologue to himself, thinking of how he wishes he had more people there, their terrorizers to spend time with. We then move on to the future, a couple years later. The puppet never gave us a time or date of when Springtrap would be found. All he told us was that we need to burn down locations to find him, that when we did find him, to free the souls. So after a while, Michael finds out that there is Fazbear Frights. And they have supposedly an animatronic there that has been locked under key. Supposedly an original animatronic from the original Five Nights at Freddy's locations, Freddy Fazbear. He goes to find it, dressed as security guard again, or maybe even just sneaking into the attraction late at night. But he takes a camera with him, a small, like portable one, like a police officer would use. And while he goes and searches through the amusement attraction, he finds Springtrap there. Stares at him for a good few minutes, and he does not fear him, as much as Springtrap would like to think he would. Instead, he just stares at him, sort of in a pity, and sees that he is, in fact, William Afton, proven that by the appearance of a specter version of the puppet appearing behind him. And we leave off with that. We don't know what happened next. We don't know what happens from now on. There's still more to come. And it seems that the more videos we get later on is going to dive more into the Afton family, if it is going to go from Fnaf 4 location itself. I love this series because it's not really a reboot or a different take on the original series, more of a reimagining, delving more into the locations and the animatronics as characters, much more what you'd see if it were a TV show or a movie, instead of a video game where we only have a few minutes to actually appreciate the characters themselves. Diving into Michael as a character and allowing us to theorize and interpret it as more ways than we can. It does give you new twists and new turns in the story, but for the most part, it's a perfect recreation of what we do know of the main canon storyline. And I can't wait to see more along the way. This is going to be a fun ride overall. I do like the way the animatronics look more Chuck E. Cheese character-like. Like this would be a location that you would see in the real world, that you can actually see them being actual characters in. And as for the puppet being a mother-like character, if anything, maybe even a sister, going off a more circus baby situation, it feels more natural in a way. Not to the main canon, but for this series. It feels like it flows well or better in the series in this way, making it less confusing and making it more straightforward as we go forward. And does Springtrap recognize Michael? We don't know that yet either. But for now, we do know that this is not the end, but much more of the time, up to date. Because like I said, this last video was just uploaded 1 month ago, and there may be more to come. If you guys want me to go to his other analog series, Harmony and Horror, I'd be more than willing to check it out. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe down below. I do enjoy the series. If you have a suggestion for my next analog FNAF series, please leave that again down below. I would really like to see what you guys have to say. I have an idea of what I want to do, but if there's a better option, let me know. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you guys next time. Have a great day.